All right, welcome back to Nick's Top Picks of the Week. Ranking your women from this season of The Bachelor with episode 2. Let's get started. Coming in at number 10, she dropped 7 spots. I think it was 7 spots. I think she was 3 last week. Rachel. Not much airtime this episode, but the little bit she got, she cried for what seems to be absolutely no reason. After playing a game. If nothing else, she has verified that she's not necessarily religious. She's just maybe a crier. And tears are welcomed and praised on this show. So either way, I think it tells us that Rachel will continue to be someone who's not afraid to express herself emotionally as well as communicate with Matt. She wanted us to know that she personally felt like she tried harder than even her teammates. And anyone who says things like that, I think, are going to be great television. So, number 10, Rachel. Coming in at number 9, Mari. Simply because she won the MVP award, also known as Most Valuable Bride, she clung to the heart, despite several girls literally dragging her. And it got, I will say, a couple times on that date, I was a little worried for the women's safety, but Mari sacrificed her body, quite literally, won the award, and was able to get herself on the night portion of the group date, even though the rest of her teammates got to go home. So Mari's definitely a fighter. She's not going to sit back and let other people take her attention. So hopefully we'll get to see more of Mari. Number 9. Coming in at number 8, MJ. You know what? We give MJ the number 8 nod. No big splashes yet in the first 2 episodes, but she is spunky. She's got a great hairdo. She seemed to be very cool, and she won the game for the team. She was the one who captured the heart, literally. And so, number 8, MJ. Coming at number 7, Katie. She has so far seems to have been retiring the dildo. No sign of the dildo on episode 2 for Katie. She also cried, which seemed to be a bit more surprising than Rachel. Katie at number 7, not a lot of airtime, but Katie kind of gives me Carly Waddell vibes from all the way back to Chris Soul season. I think she's going to be a very likable character. I think she's going to get along well with the women. I predict that Katie is going to be in top 6. Not necessarily top 4, and I'm certain that Katie's going to get a one-on-one, and for that, number 7. Coming at number 6, Marilyn. Part of the drama of this episode, not necessarily because it was her fault, because she just found herself on the receiving end of being Victoria's roommate. She also, whether on purpose or accidentally, convinced Matt to give her a flower pot, which I'm not sure necessarily says anything about Matt's love for her, but she has no problem letting Matt know that she's already noticed that she didn't get a date, even though 27 other women also have not gotten one-on-ones. But Marilyn is here to let Matt know that she's noticed that she hasn't got enough of time, and for that, we appreciate the drama. Marilyn at number 6. Number 5, Lauren. Lauren, who didn't get time with Matt on night 1. I know a lot of people had mentioned Lauren last week. She did not make our top 10 last week. So Lauren is our biggest riser of the week. But she gets the group date rose. She seems to have a connection with Matt. She seemed very comfortable talking to Matt. Usually the person who gets a group date rose on the first group date is someone who's kind of setting themselves up for a one-on-one. Not always. Sometimes it's kind of if there's a lot of drama and that person started the drama, sometimes there's a reward given, like a group date rose for someone who's kind of tattled on someone. But Lauren didn't do that. I suspect that this rose was more about Lauren and Matt's connection more than anything else. And so look to see more of Lauren in future episodes. Number 5, Lauren. Coming in number 4, Victoria, the queen. I know a lot of you might be pissed off by the number 4 ranking, and I don't know how long Victoria's going to be with us, but we have to learn to appreciate our villains. What would this episode be without the nonsense that Victoria brought, yelling at the women for what seemed to be no reason, out of nowhere, making it all about her, which I know is upsetting and obnoxious, but we love people who we like to hate. So coming in number 4, Victoria. Number 3, Abigail, our number 1 from last week. She's only dropping because she got very little airtime this episode, but the time she got was still significant. She didn't even have a date this week, but we got a nice little moment between her and Matt, kind of making up little signals that they're going to have for her. It's clear that Matt's still very much into Abigail. It's pretty often that someone who gets a first impression rose doesn't get a date, so there's not a reflection in any way of Matt's lack of interest of her, but just kind of how the game works. But look for Abigail to get an early one-on-one, maybe not next week, but maybe by week 4, I suspect. But we're clearly going to see more of Abigail and Matt, and still my pick for next Bachelorette if she is not Matt's pick. Number 3, Abigail. Coming in at number 2, Bree. Huge fan of Bree. She continues to have poise. She belongs there. It seems very natural conversating with Matt. She kind of demands Matt's respect and attention. She gets the first one-on-one probably for no other reason that she seems to have a very relatable story, and her story about her relationship with her mother and her father was an opportunity for us to learn more about Matt's relationship with his parents, and and that's really important, especially with a bachelor that we don't know that much. So that probably played as much of a role on Bree getting the first one-on-one. Nonetheless, I think there is a real connection between Bree and Matt, and I think Bree's going to be here for a very long time. Number 2, Bree. And coming in at number 1, Sarah. It's very clear that Matt is very into Sarah. It's obviously she got the one-on-one. She did very well. Very heartfelt story of her being a caregiver to her father. She opened up. She has Matt's attention. I think if I had to guess who Matt's the most into, I would say Sarah. And then obviously Sarah ended the episode with the dramatic fainting or seeing stars. And so Sarah kind of brought it all, right? She got the one-on-one, very heartfelt story, and then we have the medic moment, which history would tell us that tends to rub people the wrong way. A lot of people like to accuse that person of doing it for attention, but Sarah had the rose, so I think we're going to get more drama out of Sarah. So Sarah really came out of the gate swinging this episode, but also a very likable character. So number 1, Sarah. And that is Nick's picks for week number 2.